welcome to today's session. As usual, I've turned on the recording so that those who do not join on time and those who maybe miss the entire session will have a recording to fall back on. As you can see on your screen, we have again a guest today, and for those of you that were fortunate to be part of the session he did last month, was it? I think 3 weeks ago. I don't know if it's already last month. I think it was beginning of this month, 4th of April. We just had to beg him to do again another one because it was really value packed, and he obliged us. And so today we're having another very powerful session from him, which, if you look at the title, it's something that should save you time, something that is going to open your eyes to all those little things that can gain for you many hours of productivity or free time to do something more valuable. So it's about stop repeating data cleanup tasks using Power Query. I'm not going to want to take over his session, so I'll hand over to him. His name is David Abu. He is a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional Data Platform category. And for those of you that were present the last time, he needs no introduction. So David, over to you. I'm going to turn off my screen, my video, and be in the chat box.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. So let me share my screen. So just let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible now.
Okay, good. So one of the things that, so last week Friday, so I was training some set of people about Excel, and the major thing that most organizations are trying to solve is actually time. Everybody is solving time, but when it comes to you cleaning, one of the major things that people wants to understand is, how do I reduce the rate at which I do something in the office, especially when it's repeated. So it's annoying when you have to do some repeating tasks. So one of them is like data cleanups. Most of the time, we are tired cleaning a data set. You are doing VLOOKUP to make sure they match. Maybe there's something that you're receiving from a friend or a colleague, and you have to do VLOOKUP so that it ties to the previous one that you've done before. Then you do another VLOOKUP every time. Also, times you have to remove some dates. The way the names were being sent to you, you just don't like the way it was being sent. And sometimes before you do your analysis, you have to clean. All those sometimes, most of the time, is the 70% of work that we do whenever a task is given to us, especially when it is data analysis. Or let's say if you're an HR and you need to just make sure that your Excel is going well. So now, how do we solve this? How are we able to solve this? And that is the major thing that I want you to look at. How do we solve it? So my name is David Abu, and so this is me. This is all my, what do you call it now? Yeah, all my name and everything. So if you just want to connect me on LinkedIn, so you just put your phone in front of the screen, everything will just add up immediately. You don't need to type my name on LinkedIn. Just put it on your screen. The barcode will just send it straight to me. So what I do majorly is training and also analytics. So more as a consultant and more as a trainer, so in the Power Platform space. And that is what I do, and also do a lot of community programs, really. We're planning a community program right now in Edo State, May 17. Yeah, and registration, we have over 438 registration right now. And we just want to train 50 people. So we understand that when it comes to community, a whole lot of people wants to learn something to better their opportunities in getting jobs in Africa generally. And so one of the things we do in the community is to train as much as possible, to train people as much as possible. Yeah. So So let's go into what we have today. I might not even use up to 1 hour, but let's see how it goes. Introduction to Power Query, that is the first thing that we're going to look at. How do we introduce Power Query? How do we understand Power Query? What is even Power Query? How do we even clean up a data set? Because one of the major things is that people want to understand how to clean up a data set. People are tired of cleaning up multiple times. So they really want to understand, how do I clean it once and I don't need to clean it again? That is one thing. And that is one thing that makes people productive in the office. And we need to understand data sources, because one of the things about cleaning is, where is the source coming from? So these are issues that we will likely look at and see how we can understand the concept of Power Query. And from there, we'll move on into the major demos, which is we just do 1, 2, 3 demos together. And from there, we'll go on with that. Now, for you to understand Power Query, Microsoft built it as an interface. So it's an interface between two worlds, between where it is coming from and where it is going to. If you understand that, you understand Power Query. Power Query is like a middleman, which is coming from somewhere, is going to another place. But it can't go to that destination without the vehicle. So we call Power Query like a vehicle, like the machine itself is the fire, kind of, when it comes to when you say, oh, we are looking for gold in a location, you have to refine it so that you can sell it. At that point at which you are refining it is where Power Query is. That is the function of Power Query. So where are you bringing that data from? Is we call data source. That is data source. But for you to get to storage, data vars, for you to get to Excel, for you to get to Power BI, it has to meet a guy. And that guy is the fire guy. The fire guy helps you to transform it. And so you know what fire can do when it comes to gold. That is Power Query in a nutshell. It helps you to do those cleanup that you don't need to put too much of hours for. That is what Power Query does. Now, for the guy in the data science guys, they'll tell you that, or in the SQL side of career, they'll tell you that Power Query is an ETL tool. It's an extract, transform, and load tool. So it extracts it from the data source. It extracts data from data source. It transforms it and load it. Now, the loading has to now do with the destination. So either the destination is Power BI, the destination is Excel, Dataverse, or anywhere you want to send it to, those are the destination. But you have to meet Power Query. And another thing is that Power Query helps you to stop repeating cleanup process. It stops it immediately. So imagine that there is a data that comes in your office or to your desk every time via email or anything like that, and you have to clean it up. When you clean it up, you do your analysis. But Power Query, you can clean it up at once. Put it in a folder, clean it, put it in a folder, let that folder connect to your Power Query. When you clean it once, when, let's say, Zainab sends the data back to me, I'm just going to drop it in the folder and it cleans up. I will not do anything, I'll just refresh. So that repetition is something that we want to stop. And Power Query is what we use to stop those cleanup process. So let's see. Now, there is something called existing challenge when it comes to cleaning up. There are so many problems that we face. I'm going to just highlight some of them and we'll take it a step at a time. Now, one of the first steps, there is a lettering issues there. So we have connection is difficult. So when you're connecting, most of the time we have issues with connection. Before 2010, 2013, where you have to download it as an add-in into your Excel. If Power Query started from Excel, you download it and you have to go to external connection and everything. There are issues with connection. You remember when you want to do your pivot table, you connect to only one data source. How do you connect to multiple data sources? Those are where everything started from. And another thing is that we had the data connectivity. The data connectivity is fragmented in one way or the other. It's not, you don't really understand it, because the way you are connecting from web, you are connecting from SQL, you are connecting from Azure, you connect from Excel or from CSV. The connection is somehow. So it's confusing in a nutshell. It's confusing. So those are challenges that we are facing. Now we now understood that the data need reshaping, let's say transformation, before the consumption. And that's another issue that we're facing when connecting with data or when cleaning up. So now then the last one is that you have to repeat the transformation. You repeat it, you repeat it, you repeat it. How do we go from repeating transformations into one-time transformation? And that is where Power Query comes in. And how does now Power Query helps in all the statements that we've been making? Now, you have wide range of connection in Power Query. You can connect to different data sources, and we'll be looking at that when we start our demos. You connect to so many data sources, and as far as your data source can be connected to different tables, your Power Query can connect to different data source, and that data source, maybe let's say they have the different columns that can connect to each other. You can build your models, and that is how powerful Power Query is. Then we move into consistency of experience over all data source. Now, the way I clean the web is the same way I will clean the data coming from CSV. It's the same way I will clean the data coming from Azure or SQL. It's not different. The experience is the same. And that is one good thing about Power Query, or about how Microsoft have made Power Query to have developed over time. Now, we're having another reason, which is the experience itself in building the queries. How do you build your queries? Is that experience that we are looking at is just the same, and is interactive. It's something that you can understand. You don't need to write code to understand those processes. Then you can easily refresh this cleanup. How do you easily refresh this cleanup is something that Power Query is, and we are going to look at that as we go on. And one beautiful thing is this: if your data is 1 million rows of data, Power Query won't shrink. Power Query won't say, oh, I can't clean this, it's too much. No. Power Query will bring it into a sizable data set that when you clean one of them, or that size, when you clean that little size, it cleans others. And that is how beautiful and how good Power Query is. So how does Power Query have been able to use all these? We're going to look at it and take them a step at a time. Now, but there are different types of Power Query, 2 types. The first Power Query is the Power Query online. And that is what we call the Power BI data flows. We have the Power Platform data flows. When you go to Azure, it has its own cleanup. So all those things is what I want us to look at when we are working. And when you are going, some people call it, let's say, the Azure Data Factory 1 Clean data flows. And in different platforms, they are different. They have their different names, and we'll look at that also. Now we have the Power Query desktop. The Power Query desktop is just 2. You find in 2 places, the Excel and the Power BI. In Excel, you have the Excel. They call it Power Query desktop. In Power BI desktop, we call it Power Query desktop. So those are these things. But you need to understand that the future is Power Query online. And I can tell you, because so many development are going into the Power Query online, the data flows. If anybody have used the data flows here, you will know that they are building it in such a way that you can do the cleanup online the way you do it offline. So it's a 2-way thing. Anyone that you choose to, but a lot of people use the Power Query desktop. And we're going to look at that because that is what we're going to focus on really. Now, Power Query have a language that it speaks, and the language is called the M language. We call it the mashup. Now, the M language is like is just like a script. You just write, but you don't need to learn it. But you just need to understand that it has its own language. The same way Power BI has its own language called the DAX language. It's the same way Power Query has its own language called the M language. But we are heading to a level where we'll start speaking the Power FX language, and that's something that is coming up in space of this year. I think this year is going to be in Power Apps. But what Microsoft wants to do is they want every of their tool should be able to speak the Power FX. So it's a programming language already. So if you're using Excel, you're using Power Apps, you're using Power BI, you're using Power Query, everything like that will be resting on the Power FX language. And when it rests on the Power FX language, you're already writing script and you're already writing programming language already. So you're already a developer when you are using that. But for now, Power Query works with the M language, mashup language. Now, this is Power Query, and this is the M language. This is it. Something like this is it. And one beautiful thing about Power Query is this. In this language, if I copy this and send it to you, and you put it in your own Power Query, you have the same data set that I have. So if I, Michael, and David Ebenezer work in the same company, I want to clean a file, and I clean that file, Michael and David doesn't need to clean that file anymore. I will send them the code. As far as the data is resting on their own system, if I send them the code, it will clean it up. They can just change their source to rest on their own desktop files and on their own desktop computer. Simple. It's cleaned. So I don't need to clean up and start teaching them what to clean again. No, I can just copy this M language, send it to them via email or anything, send it to them. They drop it there and it's cleaned. Their data is cleaned. They just need to just refresh. So that is the beauty of Power Query, and I want us to be able to use it in when working, because it saves us time, it saves us stress, and that is what we want to get into at this point in time. Okay, so now we're going to move into the demos. But before we move into demos, I want anybody to tell me, what have you learned with Power Query? What have you learned in Power Query? For now, if you can type it in the chat, let me hear before we go into the demos. Just type it in the chat, or you want to say it, fine. What have you learned in Power Query? All the things I've said right now in Power Query. Anybody? 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 What have you learned? Before I start calling your names, I know many of you here also.
Hello.
Yeah, Baba.
Hello.
Yeah, Badetoye.
Yeah, sorry. You said something about M language.
Yeah.
Which you can send to someone,
Yeah.
and the person will use that language to clean up maybe the data with them. So
yeah.
That means the person must have the same copy of the data that you have, that you've already cleaned. It cannot be used for any other data, right?
Yes, because that cleanup I did at that particular period of time is for that data set.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's what
yeah.
I just wanted. Thanks.
Yes. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So now I'm going to be showing you 3 files that will be cleaning. 3 files that will be cleaning, and I got it from Foresight BI. You can check their website. I got it from Foresight BI. They have so many things that they do with BI, so you can just check them and get files there to use to just learn. So now, so when you're doing presentation and you don't want anybody to, you want people to focus on you, so you want to black out your screen, you just press your B. For those who do presentation, if you know it, then it's good. But if you don't know it, just press B. It will show black, and people will focus and listen to you more. But if you want them to to see white, you just press W, then they see white. So just a little tip for us when presenting. So let's go to Excel. Let's go to Excel. So now this is it. And if you can look at this right now, see how dirty it is. What do you think we can do here? Anybody wants to try? Can you see it? If you can see it, let me just know. What do you think we can do here? Anybody wants to try? I know that you say it's Power Query, but let's assume that there's no Power Query. What do you think we'll do? It has grand total everywhere. Okay. So what do you think it will do? Anybody? Anybody wants to try? Anybody wants to try? Before now, also, there are rules that govern analysis. There are rules that govern analysis. So I'm trying to check. So Power Query, M-Language, FC, reduce redundancy as far as other data have. Good. Thank you, David. So now you need to understand in cleanup, there are 7 golden rules of data. So I want you to Google that. You are going to see the 7 golden rules of cleaning a data set. Just Google it. If anybody wants to try it now, just Google it and list them for me. So that before we go and why I open up my Power Query, 7 golden rules of cleaning a data. Google it and list the 7 for me. Let's see that. Google it and list the 7. So because you need to understand that 7. If you don't understand that 7, you won't know what to clean. So Google it, 7 golden rules of cleaning a data set. 7 golden rules. 7 golden rules. 7 golden rules of cleaning a data set. Okay, somebody copy and paste it. Good, I like that. So we are going to just take it a step at a time. Now, the first one is this: 1 rule of heading. 1 rule of heading. Can we mute? I think somebody just came in now. Just mute, please. Now, 7 golden rules. So 1 rule of heading. But there is a problem here. At this right now, it has like 3 rules of heading. So there's a very big problem. So you have segment, you have ship mode, you have other data. So this data is dirty first. Yeah, it has no empty rows. Now I'm here now, and this is it. So this, I do my Control A right now. You notice that it's picking just half of the data set. It's not picking everything. So it means that you have broken the data into 2. So it's something that you have to be careful. You have to be careful of. So now another thing is no empty column. So no empty column, same thing, no empty rows, no empty column, no obstruction around your data is something that you have to notice. All data must be in a single column. Now, for this one, we don't have dates, but where you have date, I think there's one here that has date. Okay, this is date, but if you look at this now, you will see that date is really in a single column. Made sense. Made sense because it's in a single column already. So it's something that can work. But imagine it's in a single row, then there is a big problem with your data set. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful with that. So how do we look at all these golden rules so that when we are cleaning up, we understand what we are cleaning? Most of the time, we don't know what we want to clean. We have it in our head, but we really don't know what we want to clean. So we have to understand that 7 golden rules first before you move into cleaning your data set. So let's go to Power BI. You can do it in Excel, you can do it in Power BI, anyone. But let's go to Power BI. I love Power BI, so let's go to Power BI. So I have to close this up because if I open it and I connect to it, it won't work. So I have to close it up while I connect to it. So I'm done closing it. So let me go to my Power BI. So this is Power BI. So I'm going to go to my get data. So when I go to my get data now, this get data, or let me just go to Power Query. Let me connect from Power Query. I think that would be better. So this is Power Query. And if you can see Power Query, now if you go to Power Query, you can see this, and this is Power Query, and this Power Query interface. If you look up, you're going to see the Power Query interface. You can see file, home, transform, add column, and you can see view, tools, and help. If you can see it, let me know. But I think I'm on Zoom, so I'm zooming it already so that you can see it. So now you have the home, you have the transform, you have the add column, you have the view, you have the tools and help. Now, remember what I said, what Power Query is. We said it's an extract, transform, and load. Extract means that I want to go and extract. Transform means we want to transform. So since we are transforming, it means that everything that I want to do majorly will be in your transform tab. Logically, will be in your transform tab. So let me go there. So when I go to transform right now, you're going to see so many things I want to do. You can see transpose, reverse rows, count rows, your data type, on pivot column, fill. You can see your pivot column, convert to list. So many things that we'll be doing there. Use first row as headers. So we'll be picking them one by one, some of them during this cleanup process. So let's connect first. Remember, we want to go and extract our data first. So extract that, we want to do the E first before we go to the T. Remember, ETL, extract, transform, and load. So E, let's go to E first. Let's do our E. So I'm going to click escape, go back to my home. I'm going to go to new source, and I'm going to click more. So I'm going to click more. Now, this is where we want to get our data. We have so many places that we can get our data, so many. So you can explore that, but because of time, we won't explore that. So if I go to file, there are so many things in file. If I go to database, we have so many things in our database that we can use. My screen is not showing. Okay, can somebody help me confirm? Is my screen showing? Somebody said my screen is not showing. So can you help me and confirm? Anybody? Is my screen showing? Oh, okay. So my screen is not showing, or is showing? Which one? Okay, showing here. Okay. Okay. So, okay, showing here. John, can you just check your network or something? Okay, it is showing. Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much. So we go to our Power Platform. You can connect to Power Platform. So for those who are doing Power Apps, a whole lot, you can do it here. And remember that I said something about Power Platform data flows. So you can see it right now here. See it, Power Platform data flows. So there's so many things, there's so many powerful things that you can really do with your Power Query. And you can see Azure, anything in Azure, for those in the Azure side of career. So you can do and connect to it. You have your online service, and you can connect to so many of your online services, and you can do that also. And you have your orders. In your orders, you can do so many things, connect, SharePoint, everything. Python scripts, you can connect and clean up your data set. This is one tool that you have to just know how to use, really. You just have to know how to use them. So let's connect to Excel. I'm going to connect to Excel right now. I want to connect to the dirty modes. So at this point, I'm connecting to my 31, 32, 33. Hopefully we can clean the 3 of them. But if you can't clean 3 of them, we clean 2. But if you need this data, just go to Foresight BI website. You connect and get them. I needed to get clearance from them to use this, really. Yeah, so click OK. So I think you should be able to use it, really. So so now this is our data. So I learned how to zoom. So if you want to zoom, you have to use Zoom It, or in Power Query, there's something I learned how to zoom. So if you want to know how to zoom out, so it's called your Ctrl-Shift+. Can you see? Ctrl-Shift+ will help you zoom out. Ctrl-Shift- will help you zoom backward. I think I'm teaching presentation skill and Power Query, so I'm sorry, I'm more of a trainer, so don't be annoyed with the way I train. So you do your Ctrl-Shift+, it takes you ahead and everybody see what you're doing. So, but your Ctrl-Shift- takes it back, and you are good to go. Okay, so let's clean the first one. Let's clean the first one, your dirty one. So that's what we want to clean first. So we're going to clean our dirty one first. So, but if you look at this right now, look at your apply step on your right-hand side. You're going to see that you have 4 things that is done for you. You have your source, your navigation, your promoted header, and your chain type. If we can see that, do you need me to zoom more? If you want me to zoom more, I will zoom more out. But if it is fine like this, let me know. Michael, are we good, or I should zoom up more?
It's visible, it's clean. I mean, it's clear.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, good. So now, the next thing we want to do is this. When you are cleaning, Power Query helps you do something for you. Let me tell you. Power Query helps you clean some things. It's thinking for you. So it's an intelligence tool. So it's cleaning for you already. But we don't want. We don't want. So this is what we want to do. I'm going to now click my chain type and my promoted header. I'm going to cancel them. I don't want it. I want only my source and navigation. Who can remember source? Who can remember source? What is this stage of source? Who can remember? I've clicked it. Who can remember? Anybody wants to talk? Who can remember source? What did you do in source? Anybody wants to try? Source. What did we do at the point of source in apply step? So let me remind you, source at the point is where we went to get our source data. That is when we get to our source data. Navigation is when we pick the first one, which is 31. Source is when we went to get our data. Navigation is when we pick the first one, which is 31. So we are in navigation. This is the same thing that we're seeing in that Excel file right now. But the next thing we want to do is this. Remember our 7 golden rules. So there's an issue here right now. Our data is not following any 7 golden rules, and we need to do something. So our data is somehow. So we have 3 levels of data, and there's so many issues here. So what do you think that we have to do here? See what we want to do. Because our data is having some rows, and it's also everything is also being in columns. So you have all your headers in column, but it's upside down. So we need to take it again upside down. That what we want to do. We want to change it upside down again. So see what we're going to do for us to change it upside down, which is we want to take all the old rows to be column, all columns to be rows. We have to transpose. In Excel, you remember transpose. So we want to just transpose it. So if I want to transpose, I'm going to go to transform and click transpose. Simple. I'll just transpose. I have transposed the data. As simple as it. I've transposed my data set. Now, since I've transposed the data set, you see that it's now having column 1, it has column 2, column 3, but that's not what we want. But that is the first issue there. But if you notice now, our segment, it now made more sense because we now have segment, we have ship mode, we have order, but our order ID is still going by row. If you can look at it, it's still going row. See it, it's still going row. It doesn't make sense. But we are coming back. Let's clean this first one. This first one, you notice that the ship mode is first class, same day, second class, and standard class. It comes back again, first class, same day. It means that our column 1, where we have custom consumer is supposed to be consumer. It means that your consumers, your segment called consumer, they have their ship mode. Your corporate have ship mode, then your home office have ship mode. Something like that. So, but it means that we have to fill them. You can't write in Power Query. You can't really write like that in Power Query. So I have to fill them inside there. So how do I do that? I'm going to go to fill. There's something called fill here. I'm going to go to fill and go to fill down. It's going to fill them. See, that's filled them. But okay, so it's making sense now. Your first column made sense. Your second column is making sense, but there's an issue. Your column 1, column 2 doesn't make sense when cleaning. I have to shift the segment and the ship mode. Everything I have to shift them up so that all my column 1, column 2 leaves. I want it to disappear. So there's something called use first row as header. So see it, use first row as headers. On your left-hand side, use first row as headers. So let me go there. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go there and tell you that, guy, please use first row as headers. Immediately I've done that, look at it, my segment comes up. my ship mode comes up, my order ID comes up. But there's an issue. One of the things is that your total must not be your data. Remember, we said it is one of our golden rules. There should not be subtotal or total. So I have to remove them. For some of us, we might just go to this drop down and untick totals or the whole total, but it's not productive. Imagine I have 1,000 total. I can't do them that way. So see what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to this test filter here. I'm going to go to test filter and I will say does not contain. So I want you to filter so it should show me things that does not contain total. That is what, and remember, Power Query is case sensitive. It's case sensitive. So just remember that. So I'm going to click OK. See, everything that is total leaves. So my first segment and ship mode is clean, but orders are not clean. So look at it. My order ID are rows. See, they're just rows. I can't work this way. So I have to go back. So see what I'm going to do now. I have to find a way to make sure that my order ID changed into column, but it's still saying segment and ship mode. See it. It will be is a row now. I want to change it to column, but you must still be looking at segment and ship mode. So what we do that is we call it the unpivot. We want to unpivot it. So now there are three ways to unpivot. You are either unpivoting a column, or you are unpivoting all other columns, or you are unpivoting the only selected columns. But for me, since I have highlighted the first two, I want to unpivot every other ones. That's what I want to do. Unpivot other columns. Immediately I do that, bam, it is clean. So my data is clean. So I can change this to, let's say, code or something. I can just change to code ID or sales code or stuff like that. Then I change my value to, let's say, I can leave it in value, change the data type to, let's say, fixed decimal, or anyone I want it to change to. And this is the first cleanup. I've done that and we are good. So how is this? How is this? How is this? Anybody? How is this? This is the first one. This is our first dirty one. Now let me go to the second one. Because of time, I think I have like 10 minutes, so I have to rush. This one is the same thing, kind of. We just want to do the same thing that we did before. So I'm still going to transpose it because I need to turn it upside down. So I'm going to transpose this time. But I did a mistake. Who noticed the mistake I did? Immediately I transposed. Who noticed that mistake? Who noticed the mistake? Anybody? I transposed now, but I've done a mistake. Who noticed that? Who noticed? I want to know those who are following. Who noticed the mistake I've done? I've just done a mistake. Who noticed? Anybody? You can raise up your hand and talk. Who noticed the mistake I've done? Anybody wants to try? Okay, because of time, the first mistake I've done is, okay, the figures are not showing. No, that is not the mistake. That is not the mistake.
You're supposed to remove the change type and promoted header, I think.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Damola. That is what I was supposed to do first. So that is the first mistake I did. So now it has to be only source and navigation. Your cleanup has to be from you. You have to do it first. So now the first thing I'm going to do, I've done those two, I've removed them, then I'm going to transpose. So now I've transposed. You've noticed our column 2 looks clean, but the first one too, you just feel it's just the same thing. I'm going to fill down this time. I'm going to use my first, and there are several ways to go to several places. Remember now, before, if I want to use my first row, I can go to my left-hand side here, but now I'm just going to go to this place. The first one before column 1, that is where I am now. Let me just zoom out, see it. I am there. So I'm going to go there, and you can do so many things. See, you can do so many things. So Power Query is There are so many short ways to do so many things. Short ways. Control A works here too. You highlight everything. So there are so many ways you can do so many things here. So I'm going to use first row as headers, and I'm going to look at the two of them and I'm just unpivot it. Bam. But there's a problem here. Who noticed a problem? After I've done that, who noticed any problem here? Anybody wants to try? Who noticed there's a problem here now? I've cleaned it up, but who noticed?
I think that under the attributes, the dates, it should be date, I think. And also the date column, I'm seeing some underscore 40. It's not tallying, Sha. That's what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. It's not tallying. You are following. So now, but let me show you what Damola is trying to say. So if I change this to date, there'll be errors. There'll be errors. That means all these things have errors. So I have to go back. So now Control Z in Power Query means you just have to go back and click this X on my right hand side. This change type, that's the apply step. I have to just go there and click the X. So what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to split it up. I want to split attributes up. So when I split the column up, I'm going to split it by, let's say, a delimiter. Because many of them have underscore. Everything started from the underscore. So I'm going to use an underscore to split it. So when I split it, see it, bam. It has even changed automatically to date data type already. And I can just come here and delete this guy. And I'm good. Then we are good to go. So this is we cleaning data sets, and we are good. Now remember what somebody asked about the M language. So let me take it to the M language of this 32 that we've cleaned. See the steps, but let me take you to the M language, what we did. I'm going to go to view, and I'm going to go to a place called the advanced editor. That's where I'm going to, advanced editor. So I'm going to go there. So I'm going to go there and see what we did. This is the cleanup that we did. Everybody, see what we wrote. This is the code we wrote. Yeah, this is just what we have done. So if I send you this code and maybe you have this file, it cleans up immediately and you're good to go. So that is how it is. So like now, if I take this now, I'm going to Control A it now. I'm going to Control C it. See what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go and open an Excel file right now. I want to show you how it works. I'll open an Excel file and I'm going to go to view. Data. I'm going to go to data. I'm going to go to get data. So I'm going to the one of Excel right now. I'm going to go to the one of Excel. I want to go to blank queries. I'm going to go to blank queries. So this is Power Query of Excel. So I'm going to go to view and I'm going to go to advanced editor. I'm going to delete this guy and I'm going to do my Control V. Then let me see. Done. Good. Can you see it? So this is Excel. So I took that same code from Excel. I took it to Power BI. I took it from Power BI. I brought it to Excel. So this is it. Another level, I don't know if I have that time to show. Another level is whereby I'm connecting to a folder. When I connect to that folder, when you're analyzing and you click refresh, it will just refresh automatically. That's another level, but I don't think I have that time. Michael, do I have that time? Do I have that time, Michael?
Like how many? Well, let's say you have all the time you need. Just is the audience. Let's ask the audience because from
okay, audience. Do I have that time? I can't clean 33 again, but do I have that time to show? Audience. So if we don't have that time, I can just stop here. I think we are good here talking about Power BI, and maybe we can just ask questions. So, but that one is folder part. You can just go and watch videos on folder part of Power Query, where you connect to a folder. This is you connecting to just one file. Okay, Sean, you want to ask a question, Sean? Oluwaseun.
Yes, good evening, and thank you very much for everything that you've taught us today. I have a question as regards the extract parts of the ETL you spoke about.
Okay.
Right. Yes. So I connected Power BI to MongoDB.
Okay.
I wrote the query on the SQL parts from
Okay.
the get data. I did a left join between two tables on the query.
Okay. Okay.
Of course, you agree with me that a left join will give you all the instances of the left side of the table and the corresponding parts of the other table, right?
Yeah.
For the left table, there's supposed to be, let's say there's supposed to be 5 entries or 5 rows. When I brought 5 unique entries rather, when I did the combination of the tables for the left join, it wasn't giving me the 5 distinct users any longer. It was giving me something lesser. All right. Of course, it had more rows in terms of the number of multiple entries because you're already doing a join, right? But in terms of the unique, maybe user ID, in terms of the unique user ID, it was lesser. So on the single table of which is the left table, it was 4. But when I brought it to the join to the new table, it was lesser. Actually, it was 4.1 million rows. Then when I did the join, it became 3.7 million unique users instead of 4.1 million unique users.
So okay, so did you look at your step again? Did you really look at the steps? Because another thing that might really happen is your steps. So what step can you, okay, because of time and because of maybe some of us might not understand the DB side of it, but if you can run me through your step, maybe I will be able to look at where the issue is coming from.
Okay, you get all I just did. Okay. I think I'll drop the message. I'll drop the message on the chat, not take any more time and to allow others to ask questions.
Exactly. Thanks, Sean. Okay. Any question? Any more question? Any more question? Anybody? Any more question? Any more question? Any more question? Okay. So I guess there's no question. Michael?
Okay. Though actually it's a 6 to 7. So I know you said you wanted to show some other things.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just try that. So let me just try. So now let's connect to a folder. So let me show you the folder before we connect to it. I think that will be better. Let me just show you the folder first. Now, if you're looking at my screen currently, this is the cleanup exercise. This is the data. So let's assume that this data 3, this data 3, I want to cut it out. I'll cut it out, and I want to, let's say, I want to drop it somewhere else. Let me just drop it somewhere. So now I'm going to now connect to that cleanup process. I'm going to connect to this cleanup process, and I want to connect to these two. So this is a folder that I'm connecting to called the cleanup exercise. Then I'm going to drop the data 3, so that we are now going to see how you improve on it. So let's assume that you've cleaned 2 data. You don't go back again and clean the third data. So let's see how we are going to do it. So I'm going to go to new source. And when I go to new source, I'm going to connect to folder this time. That's what I want to connect to. I'm going to click folder and connect. So now it's going to ask me for a folder path, which I'm going to browse to go and look for the folder path this time. So you can see cleanup exercise. It's called cleanup exercise. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to click OK again. So it has given me this. And now one sweet thing about it is that you have your combined and transform data already, or transform data, but you have combined. So you can go anywhere that you want to go. So me, I'm going to click on combine and transform data. So I want you to combine it and transform it. So that is what we want to do this time. So it's asking us for our first file. Which file do we want to use? Because when I clean through this file, all of that file will clean up. That is the whole idea. So it's going to be using that file as an example for all other files. You get it? So now, if you look at what has happened now, these are the files. Then you have your transform sample file. This is the sample file. When I clean the sample file, this cleanup exercise cleans. And you can even look, you can even see it now, our source name here. You can see the source name, and you can see that you have, if I load more, let me load more. You can see that, oh, there's an issue somewhere. Okay, good. So we're going to clean it up. So let's clean it up, and we're going to start seeing where the issues are. So now I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to start cleaning them up one at a time. So most of the time, you can do, there's something in Power Query called detect data types. It just detects its own. It detects the data types on its own. So we are going to just look at it. When you go to transform, there's something called detect data types. You just detect it. Okay, so I'm going to click on Control A and click detect data types. Immediately, it's going to just detect it immediately. So you can see everything is clean at once. Your data types definitely has to follow the same rules that we know it has to follow. So immediately we do that, then immediately we can just look at this also and see if we have any issues. Immediately, this data is already clean even before we brought it in. The only issue it has with is just our data types, and we can just look at it. And let's see if we have any issues with any one of them. So I think he's having some issues with data error, the keys, stuff like that, but I won't have issues to clean it up right now because it might take time. But this is it. We've combined it like that. When we want to analyze it, what we are just going to now do is this. I'm just going to drop it. Immediately I drop that data 3 into it. It comes here back and just start showing that the next data is already clean. And that is the next thing that we are going into when it comes to cleaning data, cleaning in Power BI or in Excel. So you don't have to start repeating your data cleanup. Remember, it is this repetition that we want to stop when we are cleaning. So all these things is what we have to look at when cleaning our data set. So I think that is it. I can just go back and drop it, but because of time, I think we have just 5 minutes. Let's stop there because of time and because of maybe there will be some other questions. So, Michael, we are good.
Amen. Amen.
Okay. So thank you very much, and just to ask the audience if they have any questions before we let you go for today.
Yeah.
So any questions? I can see that Oga Ahmed is already trying to help out the deep.
Oh, okay.
I can see the chat. I can see some area response from him for the.
Exactly. Until I see it, exactly. Until I see it, if I don't see it, I can't really solve the question. Yeah. So, and that is the major truth. Thanks, Ahmed. So most of the time is the steps. We need to look at the steps and look at what is really happening there. That is the only way that we can really solve the issue. Yeah.
Great. So, all right. So if no more questions from anyone, we would like to once again thank you for always being there when we call on you, and for your knowledge share and always making the class interactive. I like the approach you take a lot. It's never a dull moment when you're presenting. So, and the tips, I know the B one, but I didn't know the W one. So that's nice to have. So now I know that if I press W, it will be white screen.
Yeah.
But where we want white, that black one, in fact, it's not really, it's like it switches off the projector kind of, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That blue one.
Exactly.
People like that approach. Maybe we want to do a group photograph. Why is the projector still? Can you turn it off instead of waiting for it to turn off? You just press B. So now that's a very nice I would like to know the W, where will the whites actually be cool to do? Have you come across the situation where the white was more useful than the black? Can you get me? Hello? Hope it's not like I've gone off. Okay, is it my side or is it his side?
Okay,
Hello?
I'm here. I think I'm here. I mean, his network.
I wasn't hearing for a while. I said I wanted to ask, was there a situation where for you the W made more sense, like the W was exactly what was needed?
Okay,
I don't
I don't think so really. There's not really too much of difference, but sometimes even the W, sometimes people will still think that you're presenting because it's blank. You know, when you're doing animations in PowerPoint, the first thing that comes out is a white. Yes, yeah. So, but really, the black is really what a lot of people use. The black.
Okay. So thank you very much once again, and to our audience, I want to say thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again next week. As for the recording, let me just drop for you where you will find all the recorded session. I know people like to ask, so all the recordings, so like for this one, it's going to be until most likely tomorrow evening before you see the recording. So, but if you have always been wanting to know where you will find the recording, that link I just shared, that's YouTube where we upload all the recordings. So thank you very much. And to David, it's been a very exciting, interesting session, an engaging session. So to all of our audiences, all the participants, thank you for joining, and we hope to see you next week. Have a nice week ahead. Bye.